с Андрей ще посрещнем още един наш специален гост. И сега Андрей ще ни го представи. Андрей.
Благодаря ти.
Разкажи ни за Алекс. Накратко.
Алекс е една от най-впечатляващите фигури в индустрията в момента, тъй като той идва от Австралия, където последните години, доста години, всъщност води трансформацията на компании в 12 различни сектора и идва в България специално, за да започне в...
От Австралия е дошъл?
Да.
Да. Много интересно.
Има повече от 25 години експириенс и със сигурност има много какво да ни каже.
Добре. Успех. Дами и господа, Алекс Гармаш.
Very thrilled and excited to be here.
How was the flight?
Thank you.
From
the flight
Australia?
was bloody long. It's 40 hours commute.
Oh, good, good.
Well, I'm super honored and super excited to be here with you. Also, congrats to Andrey. Andrey started a new role with a new company, Vector Labs, yesterday. So TBI, with a special unicorn mascot, prepared some goodies for you. So the coffee mug, the drinking bottle, and even a paper block note to write the genius thoughts.
Excellent.
So congratulations on starting.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys.
Appreciate it.
I will take it. If you want, I will put it on your place. Okay.
Thanks.
Shall we take a seat?
Go ahead.
Awesome.
So, as I mentioned briefly, it's going to be in English. Alex is coming from Australia, but he is permanently here. So he has been in Australia and New Zealand with tons of experience. Currently, his role is lending business at the retail merchants at TBI Bank. He's bringing over 25 years of experience in corporate organizations and management, including for companies like McKinsey & Company and Samsung. And he has led the 12 transformations in the sectors of, and take a look at this, banking, telecoms, healthcare, mining, energy, and others in the markets of Australia and New Zealand, LATAM, so Latin America, and the close region, Southeast Asia, and Europe. And he has an MBA from London Business School, master's degree in economics, and postgraduate from Harvard, Wharton, and Oxford. So there's certainly a lot that Alex can tell us from his experience, from his amazing qualifications, and from the amazing energy that TBI Bank has, which we actually saw also last year with his colleague Gürkan, the CTO. So we're happy to learn even more about what's going on, because, Alex, the story of TBI Bank is actually quite exciting and really encompasses what we've been talking in the previous panel as well, in terms of transformation of the industry, in terms of innovation, neo-banking, blending with traditional financial services. Now, what is now the state of TBI Bank? What does it do, and for whom?
Indeed. Thank you. Well, I will have a couple of slides. Sorry, I worked in consulting, and you can get a consultant out of consulting, but you can't get, consulting out of me. So you will have a few slides that illustrate. We actually I love an awesome job that TBI does, and we do the job for two audiences. One would be about 20,000 merchants that we serve across Bulgaria, Romania, and Greece. And we help our merchants to sell more with the consumer loans by helping their customers to get a loan to increase their sales. And second part of our audience would be our customers. Well, beloved customers, we have over 2 million of them, and again, serving them across countries. And we don't just provide the loans, but it's also about the free daily banking. It's about the winning savings offering as well.
Great. So tell us a little bit, what's the trends in the merchant front? So probably we can divide it into the first merchants and then customers to get a full picture of what you're doing.
It's actually, you can imagine that having the two diverse audience, the digital trends are very different in these. However, in the last few years, we also see there is one common denominator, a common thing, which is acceleration. In the last 2 years, the pace of adoption of digital things, really streamlined in Bulgaria, across the region as well, but more particularly in Bulgaria. And when we go specifically into merchants, we see that there are three trends really hitting. One is about digitizing the go-to-market channels, which is the shift from in-store to the e-com. The second one is about improving the unit economics by digitizing the mid and back office. And the third one is about really growing the top line with the improvement in conversions, right? And this is where kind of merchants are just starting to scratch the surface, but there's a lot of potential. I can elaborate kind of on kind of the first one. Surprise, surprise, I've got a slide. Look, I'm super excited to see that Bulgaria is growing 17% on the e-com, right? And that's like 2.3 times faster than in-store. And you can say that in-store 5% growth annual is not that bad, but just mind that GDP, real GDP growth is 3.2% and inflation is 3.4%. Therefore, it equates to 6.6. Therefore, if you put it there, the actual in-store offline channel is actually dropping in real terms, while e-commerce is really taking over. And we see this, like I see, stories where our merchants, the ones who were not adapted, who were not really thinking about the e-commerce digital channel, like kind of to build in their distribution, they're actually suffering now. And we really try to help them to educate how to build the digital channels. And I'm really excited to see lots of community here, like lots of providers helping the merchants to digitize.
I have to interrupt you here because we've been joking about slides, but look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is news. This is maybe even history that we are marking here. We've been talking in the last panel about how we've been in many different rankings at some of the last places in the EU. Here we see Bulgaria in the first place in e-com growth, way above the average for the EU.
It's actually #1 place in EU. So, like, great job, Bulgaria! Woohoo!
Yes.
Like, thank you for this, and very excited. Yeah.
Yep. So, can you tell me a little bit more about the trend, like some of the most important things related to improvement, like how is it actually happening?
Well, we again looked into this using the McKinsey research about the decomposing the EBIT or earnings before interest and tax of the retailers. We looked what are the trends impacting it, right? And you can be surprised. Actually, retailers do not have very high, or merchants do not have very high profitability margins. It's typically in retail, it's like 4% to 6%. Okay, Bulgaria is somewhat a bit higher on this scale, but it's not kind of golden mountains, right? And you can see that kind of even at that 4% starting point, there is also a headwind, a very strong headwind of increasing the labor costs that the retailers need to tackle with. So therefore, for retailers, it becomes a really hard battle of like how to get the mid and back office digitization. And there we see a few things. One is that the retailers are starting to double down on the in-store automation. And you saw multiple examples of this, self-checkouts, digital assistants in the store. And this helps to reduce the cost of labor, essentially, in the store, and kind of allows the retailers to survive. The second one is the big lever about the inventory management. And it's a very simple thing, like imagine getting the right product on your warehouse at the right time and in the right quantity. Sounds extremely easy. I've been in like managing kind of a large global automotive business, and if you do something wrong, you end up with a huge inventory, like millions and tens of millions of dead stock, right? So that's where the applying the digital analytics, like advanced analytics in understanding the customer trends, the demand trends, really helps. And the last thing would be about the back office automation, and it's essentially decreasing the general administrative cost. Typically, it yields 10 to 15% of the reduction in those costs, which gives an incremental 1 to 2% percentage points of EBITDA uplift.
What type of data models do you use for these? What is the biggest technological trend?
Yes, like we use ourselves, like we are now building a lot of, and this is like, thanks for asking, that's another lever that we see. That's basically comes into the lever, the bucket of the customer experience and conversions improvement. At the bank, we start building deploying the advanced analytics and machine learning powered with the AI, building the propensity modeling, which is essentially allowing us to understand what is the product that the customer wants to buy next and in which time frame. And we also see that many of the Bulgarian leading retailers are starting to deploy more and more advanced analytics model to understand when do they need to tap to the customer, so that it's not just kind of bombarding with the silly communication all over the place, but really addressing them in the right time and moment. Another lever that we see huge potential is the customer journey optimization. And I would see it much less in Australia, where like, for example, I worked with the e-com players there, and it's really, really fine-tuned. There's like hundreds and thousands of A/B tests going on. In Bulgaria, it's almost like a Wild West in this regard. We at TBI had like our CX team going in and looking into the levers, what the merchants can do. We identified over 60 distinct levers and like micro initiatives that the merchants can implement. And you can't believe, they just even like placing the checkout button in a different color, in a slightly different place on the screen and size, actually has like from 1 to 5 percentage points increase in the conversion, right? Which kind of yields a lot of impact for the retailers. So kind of that's the way that we see a lot of potential for Bulgarian merchants, and it's not just Bulgaria, but also Romania and Greece akin, kind of really helping the customers to smoothen the journey kind of in their checkout.
Can you summarize, like, what drove your thoughts about serving the merchants so much, actually? I mean, obviously, they are one of your biggest audiences, but you could easily stay in, like, traditional niche of, a proper digital bank, but you made one step further, So how did you kind of motivate yourself to enable merchants more?
Well, it's firstly, there is like kind of the market conduct part of it, because I don't think the banks will have a mandate to work with the partners very soon if they don't they don't really help them to kind of sell more, to grow faster. And that's like, again, coming from Australia, having worked across the world, I see this like strong partnership being like a norm. In Bulgaria or kind of in this part of the world, I don't see it as proliferant. So there's like lots that we can do, like, and again, helping the kind of our partners to grow. And it's actually just much more fun when you're not just kind of selling alone. We're not bloody selling alone. We're really helping the customers to get the good that they really need in the right moment. We are helping the merchants to get to this next level of evolution. This is so much more rewarding. I mean, from personal perspective, I find it like to be really cool to see, to meet the merchants who are really keen to work with us and really appreciate it. And I think like most of you are driven the same way. Like your clients, it's not just you're selling the products, right? You are really helping and enabling your clients to get to the next level.
Speaking of clients, consumers, I can't wait to see how this actually reflects consumers as well, this transformation.
Indeed, we have, well, as I said, 2.3 million consumers. Surprise, surprise, they're like all beloved, unique individuals. We took a stab on kind of somehow segmenting them into different buckets. So with the qualitative and quantitative research, the best we could do is to aggregate them to 5 distinct kind of macro categories, right? And kind of we call them personas. They are very different in terms of the demographics, socio-demographics, but also psychographics. For example, like if we look at the young geeks, they are the digitally native, very young audience, very keen to try new things, adopt the digital banking, and kind of digital shopping as well. Then the cautious nesters, they're also very young, but then they are somewhat more risk averse. They're starting their family. Then the pragmatic time savers, that's the third audience, is the smart cookies. They're very, very highly educated. They don't like taking the loans. We can entice them with the free daily banking.
Time and money savers?
They are the time and money savers. They're like, we love this audience. They are the core audience for our daily banking, so because they like free things. And I was actually surprised to kind of when I moved to Bulgaria to find that daily banking is not free. So it's like easy pay charges a commission. I was like, oh my God, that is so a bit of prehistoric age. Anyway, going back to the customers, the conscious savers are another like a bit older audience. They're like at later stages of their life. They're like typically very deliberate and they're thoughtful in their decisions.
Define the threshold.
Say again?
Define the threshold, age threshold.
Well, it's not about the age. It's actually, we found that the age, conscious savers actually start even at 30s, right? It's like there's a psychographic kind of element to it, right? Like people behave, the risk propensity, the adoption of new things, And lastly, the indifference. They just don't care. They, they don't care about the bank. They don't care about the brands. It's very hard to build the loyalty. And unfortunately, they kind of take the loans when they are really in dire straits situation, like really in difficult situation. What we do with this audience, we really try to educate them how to be financially conscious and not to kind of stretch their limits. When we look at the kind of Bulgarian landscape, kind of the proportion of these audiences is obviously very different, right? We see that, great to see the pragmatic time savers, 24% of the Bulgarian banking audience, but also there's a big chunk of the audience in later, kind of later stages.
How did you, sorry to interrupt you, but like, how did you get this data? Is it internal data? Is it combined with external?
We did the internal analysis with the statistical k-means. Then we did apply the qualitative kind of research on the in-depth focus groups, and then triangulated it with the external quantitative survey, which is going to use the representative sample, and then also triangulated it with the generic statistical data from the Bulgarian Statistics Institute. But again, like the trick is like constantly kind of reshuffling this, right? And also we see that kind of the trends are very different by these audiences. You can see kind of on the screen that the young geeks, they love the digital shopping. They are adopting the e-com, right, as well as the time savers. But for example, in the conscious savers and the different drifters, right, they are like not really there, and it will take time kind of for them to adopt it.
Great. Now, in terms of like trends and how things are going, who's taking which type of product, how they behave, what do they actually do? I mean, in practice, like with their behavior.
Awesome question. I would love to answer it in a minute, or because like it's the answer would probably be a couple hours. But in very simple terms, like young geek audience, they're keen to try with crypto. They really want kind of to try like. You give they love our digital onboarding, right? They hate going to the branches, right? And it's very different customer behavior. The cautious nesters, the key thing for them is the cybersecurity. So we found that kind of this audience really responds to the, they need to be safe. That's the intrinsic needs. They're starting up a family. They don't want to risk their money, they really want to be safe in their decisions. Again, pragmatic time savers, I was elaborating, they do the kind of daily banking. Also, there is like a very strong emerging trends that these customers, they want to see a very integrated journey. They don't want and I see we see the market like our job is like really helping the merchants to do the sale and so enable the customer. So in this journey, the customers don't want to go to the bank, get a card or get the money, like if they need kind of extra money for the purchase. They really wanted to get it in there, in the spot, at the point of the checkout. And we call it embedded finance. Kind of for this purpose, we rolled out, inside our banking app, we rolled out a shopping app that is allowing the customers to, within the banking app, go and shop at their favorite shops, Obuvki.BG, Fashion Days, IMAG, and immediately split the purchase into number of installments. So they don't need to go like somewhere, even input the card. They can do it kind of within the app. And we find that it resonates with the younger audiences, but now we're working on bolting on some of the kind of next things to it, right? Because kind of we see that the audience is very interested in cashbacks and some kind of AI-driven search and many other innovations.
Are you happy with the adoption rate?
Say again?
Are you happy with the adoption rate of this?
No, I'm not happy with the adoption rate. I wish the consumers would adopt it better, but I think it's a testament to us that we need to work harder and we need to kind of get much better conversions. And
in this relation, and maybe this is a great way to conclude this fireside chat. Like, what is your core kind of vision on improving it, on enabling your consumers in using this fast-paced innovation?
Well, I think it comes to a simple, kind of very simple thing. It should be very the consumer should not really have a lot of thoughts of how the consumer gets the finance and kind of resolves the banking needs, right? That's again, coming from Australia, it's easy for me to imagine this because typically it's very streamlined experience, I was really surprised that kind of in Bulgaria, I was requested to do piles and piles of paper, filling them in, then they get scanned and then they get digitalized. I'm like, why do you need to kind of scan them? Like I could fill them in digital form like straight away. Still, that's the process. So I guess kind of the simple mantra is like we need to eliminate all the barriers to consumer, right? And I think kind of us as consumers would really appreciate it as well.
Yes, and probably also in building bridges.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
Thank you very much for this open and very nice discussion, and I think we learned a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.